Welcome to the Midlife Mom Podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Lewis. I'm a coach for midlife moms with a background as a mental health therapist. I help midlife moms who are feeling lost and stuck to be able to discover and create their dream midlife. Let's do this. Hey, midlife moms. Welcome back for another episode of the podcast. A few episodes ago, episode 80, I did one called Homecomings and Goodbyes When Your Kids Leave, Come Back, and Leave Again. And in that episode, I talked about how I was preparing to take our youngest to college and just some of the things that were, I guess, some of the emotions I was already anticipating with that coming up. And I said I would give an update. So we are back from dropping him off, and I just wanted to share a little bit of that experience. And my intention in sharing it is to reach the midlife moms that might struggle with this, that might be feeling some big emotions with an event like this happening, and maybe they're judging themselves because they're feeling feelings and they think they shouldn't be feeling the feelings they're having because their kid's going to college. And that's a good thing, right? But there's still going to be different emotions. In a lot of our experiences in life, we're going to feel different emotions. Some might be painful and hard. Other ones are going to be good. And sometimes we feel them at the same time. So we were gone for about a week. It took us a few days to get him out to school, just because it's a couple-day drive from where we live. And so it was some great windshield time with my husband, with our son, and it was fun to watch him, and kind of you could tell the emotions were building up for him too. There was some excitement, and there was also some other feelings that he was experiencing based on things that were going on with friends. And so it was good. It was fun to take him to his apartment. He got to see his old roommate that he hasn't seen in 2 years. And I guess I should say roommate / one of his best friends. And he met this kid a couple years ago because they became roommates. They didn't even know each other, and they became great friends. So that was really cute when they saw each other in just this big embrace and just so happy to see each other. So that was so good. And it was good to be able to see where he'd be living, to see the apartment complex, to see other kids arriving, and just the whole atmosphere around college starting. It's a really fun time. I remember back when I did it, and you're just really excited. You're nervous and you're really excited because it's a neat time of life. We helped to get him settled, did the grocery shopping. We also were able to go see our other son and his girlfriend that live a couple hours away from where this youngest son is going to school. The weather was beautiful area. So it was really, really good. And when it was time to say goodbye to him, actually, we had gone to a football game the night before we left for my husband and I's alma mater, because that's where our son is going now. And so that was really, really fun, of being able to go to a football game and be back in that atmosphere, because it's something that we love. So our son, who was sitting in the student section at one point, was able to come over, and he's like, hey, I'm going to say goodbye because I'm going to leave with my friends. And we were flying out really early the next morning. So he said his goodbyes and, thank you. And we were just very grateful for the help that we gave him in getting up there. So it was all good. I was doing fine and got up the next morning. I didn't get as much sleep the night before, which that should have been a cue to me that sometimes when I don't get enough sleep that I might be a little more emotional. So we get, on our flight. It was a little bit delayed, but not too bad. And we had a layover, and then we were on the last leg of our trip. And I was spending some time in God's Word, and I noticed I started feeling a little emotional. And part of that could have been a spiritual thing for me, but I think also I started feeling the emotions of, we're going back and he's there. Now, mind you, this is the second time we've dropped him off at school. As I shared in the previous episode, we brought him up there a couple years ago Actually, it would have been 3 years ago. He was there for a year. Then he did a 2-year church service mission, and then now he's returning. So we've done this before. We've done this with our 3 other children. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, hey, Lisa, you've got this. You've done this before. And yes, I have. And I still felt emotions. So like I said, on the airplane, I started getting a little weepy. There were some tears. And then we got to the airport, got in our car, started driving home. And then I started thinking about getting home. And that when we got home, he wasn't going to be there. He wasn't going to be coming home each night after getting home from work. We wouldn't be chatting with him and seeing him and eating dinner with him sometimes and just hearing about his day. And then when we came into our subdivision, I'm thinking about how I'm not going to see his car anymore. And then we open the garage and I'm like, his car is not going to be in here anymore. And I really started feeling the emotions. And I start crying and the tears just really, really start flowing. And my husband, having seen me do this before, he was very sweet. Just, hey, what do you need? And he knows I pretty much just have to cry. And I even said that. I was like, I know that these are just emotions that are going to pass. And I just didn't know how intensely I would feel them. And so here they are, and I get to allow for them to be here. So I came in the house, we got unloaded, and I was bringing something down to the room he had been staying in, that our son had been staying in. And of course, I knew when I saw it that I would be emotional because I already was. And I just sat on the bed and I just cried, just kind of a good, hard, ugly cry. And I just allowed myself, I'm like, I just feel sad. It's another transition in life. And I just cried and I cried. And my husband was upstairs putting stuff away from the trip. And at one point I came back upstairs and I sat on the couch and I'm crying and crying. And as I'm doing this, I'm noticing what I'm feeling, which was mostly sadness. And I'm kind of picturing sadness being next to me. And I'm telling sadness, it's okay that you're here. This is part of my process. I know that, you'll be here as long as you need to be. And I'm just allowing for sadness to be there. Obviously, it didn't feel good. At that moment, I could have been really dramatic and I could have said to myself, this is going to feel like this all week and I'm going to have to work and I'm going to be feeling like this. And I was like, you know what? This will probably pass, but let's just allow for it to be here. So I just allowed sadness to sit by me and let myself continue to cry. And then I realized, you know what? We probably need to eat. Let me work on some food for us. So I got up and I made some dinner and I'm, feeling a little bit better, but still, obviously, you know how it is when after you've had a good ugly cry, you're tired. So I'm feeling it. I'm feeling pretty exhausted. And like I said earlier, I was already tired because we had an early morning flight. And I also know that when I don't get enough sleep, that it can impact my emotions. So it's something that I'm aware of. So as the night went on, sadness started dissipating some. It wasn't feeling quite so intense, but I was definitely still feeling it and just allowing for it to be there. And then something that was helpful is we got to check in with our son, and we also talked to a few of our other kids. And so that was really good. Just like, hey, he is doing great. He's getting to have a game night with his friends. He is doing great. And I knew he was, but it was just good to hear his voice. And to be able to talk to our other kids, see grandkids, that was really, really good. So by the time I went to bed that night, I was definitely feeling tired, but I was feeling better. And it was nice to have my husband there, and it was nice to have the comfort and just to be able to not feel shame about what I was feeling. And just, again, I keep saying this, to allow for it. I'm really emphasizing that because it's so important. Now, I've talked about this in other podcasts, but when I had other kids leave in the past, it was a similar experience with the crying and just feeling really sad. But what I also did then is I was judging myself. And I would say things like, Lisa, why are you feeling sad? They're going to college. They're so excited about this. Why are you doing this? And then I'd be like, oh yeah, I shouldn't be like this. I shouldn't be sad, blah, blah, blah. And I'd be hard on myself and I would judge myself. And I think really that made it a lot worse because I wasn't allowing for those feelings to be there. I didn't allow it to sit by me, to be in my body and just be there. And so now that I understand this better, I was able to do that. And guess what? The next morning I woke up and I was a little bit more tired, but I was like, okay, I'm ready to get up and get going with my day, ready to get my workout in and to get ready for clients this week. And I just went about my day. And here it is. It's been about 3 days now. Actually, it's been about 4 days since we've been back, and I've been totally fine. I am fine. And it really didn't last too long. Again, I didn't know how long it would last, but I was open to allowing for it to be there. And so that is my message for today. For any of you midlife moms that just went through this, or maybe going through it, or maybe it's not even a kid going away to college. Maybe it's a different type of transition, and maybe you're feeling some different feelings about it. My encouragement to you is to allow yourself to, well, first of all, to name it. What are you feeling? And then notice it. Where is it in your body? And then just allow for it to be there. Like, it's okay to allow those feelings to be there. We do not want to resist them. What we resist persists. So my hope is that this is helpful for anybody that needed to hear it today. And I will be back next week on the Midlife Mom Podcast. If you're enjoying what you are learning on this podcast and would like to learn more about working with me as your coach, you can message me at midlifemomcoach@gmail.com, or you can reach out to me on Instagram. Midlife Mom Coach is my handle. We'll see you next time on the podcast.